Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. Plymouth County Registry of Deeds is the recording agency of the county. Everything connected with your purchase of property, whether it be deeds, mortgages, agreements related to real estate, municipal lien certificates, homesteads, get recorded at our office. And we've been busy lately. Sales and mortgages are up at the close of the first half of 2016. That's our headline for the month. We record documents for all 27 communities in Plymouth County. We create images of them so they're available over the internet. We microfilm them, create an index so people can find them, and you can go online to find just about everything that we have. So let's get to the numbers. You're going to see a bar chart coming up of recording information. Sales of property is the first one. There were 1,173 deeds recorded in June of this year, higher than the 911 in May, 13% more than last June, and year to date for the first 6 months, up 24%. And that's a big jump relative to the real estate market. There were 2,178 mortgages. You'll see a mortgage chart next, more than the 1,933 in May, up 2% over last June, and year to date, up 5%. A mortgage usually is someone using a mortgage to purchase property or a refinancing of an existing mortgage to get a better rate. We also report in the next image foreclosures. A foreclosure deed is when a lender has taken back a property from an individual, and there are 53 foreclosure deeds recorded in June, less than the 56 recorded in May, and less than the 54 last year, June. However, year to date, we're 37% higher than last year at this time, and that is troubling. The next bar chart is foreclosure notices. A foreclosure notice is the first document that we see at the registry that shows someone's in trouble. There were 96 foreclosure notices reported, 103 notices in June, 96 in May, and they're up 30% over last year. So anyone in trouble, I have a great guest in the next segment. Please contact a housing counselor to try to modify your problem. The next instrument you're going to see is a listing of foreclosures and orders of notice by all 27 communities. I will note, for the first time that I remember, there were more foreclosure deeds in Plymouth than Brockton. However, traditionally, it's been Brockton, Plymouth, and Wareham in that order. Our training room opens up again, closed for the summer on September 2nd. If you want to learn how to more efficiently use our search site at the registry, call us and do this free training program. We had office hours in Halifax at the end of May. On our website, you'll see a property fraud alert. And I also just always mention to people, there are deed scams out there, one of which says we'll get you a copy of your deed for $83 when you can get it at the Registry of Deeds office in Plymouth, Rockland, or Brockton for $1 a page. Don't get sucked into that. I have a great guest coming up, Joe Madaio of NeighborWorks of Southernmass, who will talk about what you can do if you're facing foreclosure. And we'll see you in the next segment.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. And in this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. We've had title examiners, we've had surveyors, we've had real estate attorneys talk about the intricacies of a real estate closing. And I have a great guest today. I have Joe Madaio of NeighborWorks of Southern Mass. Joe, welcome.
Thanks, John. Appreciate being here and spending a little time with you.
Yeah, and I know you've been a guest before.
Yep.
I'm going to have you give a little of your background for our viewers, how you get into this real estate business, and clearly you've had varying roles in the real estate market.
Yeah. Well, I spent probably most of my career as a banker and doing all sorts of things, but I got a call about getting involved. It was actually almost 9 years ago now, as a housing counselor for people who were having trouble with their mortgages. So what we try to do is we try to work with people to help them get their mortgages modified. So I thought it was kind of interesting work, and so here I am. So
let's talk a little bit about your organization, NeighborWorks of Southern Mass.
NeighborWorks is basically we actually have 3 offices now. We've been operating in Quincy for over 30 years, and the primary objective is housing, whether it be educating or developing housing, things like that. We went to Brockton, like I say, almost 9 years ago at the bequest of the Brockton Housing Partnership, because they sort of saw the foreclosure thing as being on the tip of the iceberg, and Brockton was, unfortunately, it was kind of hotbed for foreclosures. So we started our office there, and then probably about 3 years ago, NeighborWorks, who's our parent organization, asked us to open up an office in New Bedford, because the organization that was doing foreclosure counseling in New Bedford decided not to do it anymore. So we've been operating in 3 locations for 3 years now. In addition to that, we're hoping that you and I are going to live long enough to see the foreclosure thing go away, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But we do first-time home buyer education. So it's kind of like I tell folks that my role in life is to keep people in houses and get people in houses. So we also administer some down payment assistance for the city of Brockton, and for to some extent for Quincy as well, and communities that surround Quincy. We do landlord training. We now have 2 people who are qualified to do reverse mortgage counseling. So that's getting to be a active service for us too as well. And we also offer a program that I sort of oversee, which is called Financial Power. It's helping people to establish financial goals and then working with them, coaching them to get them to actually achieve those goals. So,
Well, I was Register of Deeds during the real boom times, when everyone was refinancing twice, 3 times, sometimes 4 times, just to take advantage of the rates and pulling money out of their property. And that was during like 2003, 4, and 5. And then when the financial crisis hit in around 2008, it was a very difficult time for a lot of people. And in my case, people were coming into our office asking for help, and there was really no place to send them. So when NeighborWorks started to get involved in the communities of Plymouth County, it was great for us because we ran those conferences, as you remember.
yes.
And there were hundreds of people that would come and be lined up for help, trying to modify with their companies would actually come down to those things. And we thought that over a period of a few years, it would get to a normal. And we've gone lower and then higher and lower, and now a lot of them are back up again. So we really wonder what is the new normal.
Right, exactly. Well, you know, I think initially, and you indicated it, you know, a lot of people were taken all the equity out of their property, and then subsequently the housing market crashed, and they had, they were upside down. So, and a lot of people basically had, quite frankly, had mortgages that they never should have gotten because of subprime lending and everything like that. And we've sort of gone through the process of, now the folks that we're seeing are ironically people who have gotten some help and are still struggling, so they're coming back to see if we can give them some additional help, which is possible. But the good number of people that we're seeing now are people who have had a change in their financial situation, loss of a job, reduced overtime, things like that. Things that have
medical issues too.
Medical issues, death of a spouse. Unfortunately, those things happen too. When you get a mortgage with two incomes and one of those incomes is gone, that becomes a problem. So,
well, I very much appreciate our relationship, between the registry and NeighborWorks over the years. And
well, you've been instrumental in helping us out because of what we do with the foreclosure notices. You allow us to piggyback with you so that we can get the information out to consumers, right after they find out that, they're getting a foreclosure notice, they get something from us saying that we can help them. So, and we've expanded that program to be, all of Plymouth County now, rather than, initially it was just Brockton, but we found that we needed help in more places, and so, we're still getting probably 1 to 2 people a day coming into the office and asking for a package. And
from all over.
from all over, from all over, because we don't, the only time that we would not work with someone is if they were, some central or western Massachusetts, we can refer them to another agency.
Right. So I know we've had a spike this year. Matter of fact, I was in front of the Brockton City Council Monday night with one of your co-workers and some other folks working on it in Brockton. And I will say one of the things that caught my attention this month was, it was the first month I saw where Plymouth exceeded Brockton in terms of foreclosure deeds. And I just want to share with the public a little bit. The 2 documents that we record at the registry related to foreclosures are in order of notice, which is the first document we receive recorded at the registry from lenders that show a foreclosure is in progress, and then the actual foreclosure deed after it's gone through the full process and the advertising and the sale, when the title is actually taken back by the lender from the owner. It doesn't mean they're out of the house, but it means that the title has transferred.
Yes.
And that's how we track it, and that's the information we share with local communities and organizations like yours. So I just want to make it very clear to any members of the public that happen to be watching, or people that out there that you've heard in conversation are in trouble. The number one thing I can advise you is just don't wait. If don't be embarrassed about it. It happens for a variety of reasons, and reach out to a federal housing counselor, of which NeighborWorks is a great resource, and it's free. And so if someone were out there watching this show and they had a family member, or if they had themselves were in trouble, why don't you share your contact information and give them a little advice as to what they should do.
We actually have what we call the foreclosure package, or the mitigation package, on our website. So someone can go on to our website, which is www.nwsoma.org, and by clicking on the right box you can get to the package, because we have to get an awful lot of information from a client before we can begin to help them. And what we're asking them for primarily is the same information that we would be forwarding to the lender once we need to, okay, once we get ready to do that. So, we asked them to get the package, get the information, get it to us. And if you're not comfortable on the computer, or you don't have the ability to print it out, because you actually have to print it out and fill in the documents and stuff like that for some of them, you can call us at 617-770-2227, and my extension is 45. So they can call me directly, all right? And we'll either get a package off into the mail, or we'll tell them how to come in, where we are and coming into the office. Our office is in Brockton. We're inside Harbor One Bank. We have a great relationship with them, just like we have a great relationship with you, because when this crisis hit, they saw the need to having something like this in the city, and because they had some space available, they made it available to us and a couple of other nonprofits who...
And they've put a lot of money into the facility.
They have. They actually built offices for us and everything else. And, they also partner with us to do our financial power classes and our home buyer classes. So it's kind of like, it's a very synergistic relationship.
So from the beginning, I think lenders, in my opinion, should have been a little more proactive in trying to resolve. They have lost a lot of money by their failure to act quickly, and in many cases, and certainly people out there watching the show may be victims of people that have actually sent information, and then it gets lost somewhere in the lender.
Yes. One of the things that was very frustrating in the very beginning was I don't think that a lot of lenders were prepared for this, okay? So subsequently, you would be dealing with the same people who you'd call about a problem with your checking account as opposed to a problem with your mortgage. And so now I think, and it's just kind of the evolution of the process, now we have single point of contact person, so that if you're actually dealing with the lender, you'll be assigned someone that you talk to directly. I think a lot of the fits and starts of doing this was a result of the fact that a lot of these lenders weren't really prepared for the onslaught of customers that they actually had who were having problems. Okay. Now, if they made better loans in the first place, that would have worked a lot better. But it's that's water under the bridge, so to speak.
So let's take a hypothetical person, and they either get the letter, the letter that on our letterhead that goes out to people that have got to the order of notice stage. Included in that envelope is a notice of your organization to contact you, or if they find out from a friend and contact you. What are the steps, just so a hypothetical person could understand how it goes through?
We have to get like I said, in order to respond to the lender, we'll have to get an awful lot of information from them.
So give me some examples of that.
Kinds of things that we need to get is that when we submit the documentation, we need to have 2 months of pay stubs. We need to have a month of pay stubs, 2 months of bank statements. We have to have had them put together a budget so that we know, how they're spending their money. We need to review their income. We would need the most recent tax return, because basically what the lender is looking for, and one of the reasons why the lender likes to work with an organization like ours, is we'll be sure that the information that goes in is all entirely correct and has been vetted, okay? I'll give you an example. Is if you, we'll get clients who will say, I rent a room, okay? Well, and I'll say, well, how much money do you get? Well, I rent it out for $500 a month. That's perfectly fine, but there's got to be some sort of a paper trail. So you can't, they would like to see a rental agreement that says that John Buckley is renting from Joe Madaio, and they would like to see a deposit, you know, of that $500 if John Buckley is paying cash going into an account, because otherwise you can say it, but you really have to prove it. Okay, that's the thing. There always has to be a paper trail. So, you know, and I think what they're doing is they're making sure that they're not getting, you know, false information, and that's one of the things that working with a counselor will prevent. Okay, so.
And the ultimate goal of your organization is to try to modify the loan
Try to
to
modify
a
the
more
mortgage
affordable payment.
to more affordable payment.
Doesn't
and-
usually wipe off principal or anything like that.
One of the things that kind of the typical program today is that if they can reduce the rate and get the payment down to a lower level, they'll do that. Now, that might mean extending the mortgage too, because if you've got somebody who's been in a home for 10 years, okay, they may want to extend that out for another, if it's a 30-year mortgage, and extend it out for another. So basically, they might be getting another 30-year mortgage, okay? In some cases, one of the things that they'll do is they'll have what we call a principal, I call a principal set aside, which means that in order to make the payment palatable, they'll take some principal and put it on the back end, and the client won't be paying any interest on that principal during the time that they have the modification. But at the end, they will have a payment, a big payment that they have to make for the principal that was set aside, or that in some cases, you know, they can get another mortgage to cover it. But ultimately, if they sell the house or anything like that, they've got this amount that's been kind of sitting over here that they got to worry about. A lot of times what's happening too now, John, is because the lenders are much more willing to work with people. They are actually giving them some principal forgiveness.
Okay.
So, you know, I had a gentleman who they set us, now this is kind of the exception and not necessarily the rule, but they're taking, you know, as long as he makes his payments on time over a 3-year period, they're actually going to take $10,000 or $20,000 off of his principal, and so it's going to reduce his mortgage. So.
Well, I'm getting the wrap-up sign, but I think that people won't understand what their options are if they don't reach out.
They don't reach out,
And
yeah.
I'm just going to advise everyone again, if you or someone you know is in trouble, you know, make contact with this organization.
Yeah.
It's well worth your effort. One more time, your contact information.
The website is www.nwsoma.org, and the phone number is 617-770-2227, extension 45.
Well, thanks again, Joe.
John, it's always a pleasure,
Have
and we love working with you.
Yeah, and have a great rest of the summer.
You too.
Goes too fast.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
I want to thank Joe Madaio for the great job he did in the last segment to help people that are in foreclosure or facing foreclosure. Once again, I'll just stress again, don't wait. If you find yourself in trouble or a family member in trouble, the sooner you try to do a modification, the better. In this segment of the show, we always do something a little lighter in nature, something from a Plymouth County notable land records collection. A couple of the holidays of the month, we've gone through Independence Day. The 17th of July is National Ice Cream Day. The 18th is Nelson Mandela International Day, and we always bring up some of the highlights of some of our notable land record collection. The first image you're going to see is Gurnet Light. Gurnet Light is notable because it was the location of America's first female lighthouse keeper. It's a great place. On the way into Plymouth Harbor, certainly the first lighthouse was built, first twin towers in America. Lighthouse built on land of John and Hannah Thomas. John Thomas lost his life during the Revolutionary War, and Hannah Thomas was named America's first female lighthouse keeper. It's a beautiful site. If you ever get out there, they do tours every year, and it's currently cared for by Project Gurnet in Bug Light, and a very strong Plymouth County landmark. Another lighthouse in Plymouth County is Minot's Ledge Light, the next image you're going to see. It's called Lover's Light. The light flashes 143. It's located off the town of Scituate in Plymouth County. The first lighthouse was washed away, but it was reconstructed, and it kept many ships from shipwrecks during the 1832 to 1841 era. The lighthouse service emphasized the need for it, and on May 1st, 1894, the lantern was installed with a 143 flash, and lovers on the shore have ever since watched that light, and it became the name Lover's Light. Built on Minot's Ledge, again, 114-foot tall, 5-story tower with interlocking gray granite blocks. It was sold by the federal government to private ownership, but certainly a very famous Plymouth County landmark. And one more notable land record, certainly here in Plymouth County, we have a lot of great followers of the Red Sox. We've talked about the Ted Williams connection to the Ted Williams camp in Lakeville, but I also want to mention Dominic DiMaggio. The Red Sox just finished a series with the New York Yankees. Certainly one of the most famous Yankees of all time was Joe DiMaggio. His lesser-known brother, Dominic, lived in Marion and was a very famous Red Sox center fielder, named to the American League All-Star team 7 times. The DiMaggio brothers were born in San Francisco, sons of a Sicilian fisherman, and both Joe, Dom, and another brother, Vince, all played for professional baseball. Dominic's nickname, the Little Professor, played his entire life for the Boston Red Sox, served in the Navy during World War II, and is remembered by many fans for his great playing skills. After his retirement from baseball, became a famous businessman, and he and his wife lived in Marion for many years. So I want to thank David Antoine and the folks here at PAC TV for running this show, allowing me to produce this show to share what is important information to people across Plymouth County. For most people, their real estate is their most valuable asset. And Lorna Green Baker and Christine Richards from my staff work with me in putting this program together. And I just like to share the numbers that are going on, a little bit of educational thing with Joe Madaio today, and some of our great history. So have a good remainder of the summer, and we'll see you in the next segment.